Hey guys, welcome to yet another video right before patch 3.21 hits tonight. I would like to go over the Ruthless changes with you because we just got a few additions here. So they basically made some last minute changes. So I thought it's a good idea maybe to go over all the Ruthless specific changes again that we can expect in this league. So maybe just go down one by one. So the Void Stones now upgrade maps in Ruthless through the number of tiers. Though the number of tiers the upgrade is less than in the base game, so this is basically a good thing. I mean, Void Stones were very useful if you had them. Now they will be even more useful, which is great because map progression was basically one of the key things that people disliked about Ruthless, that it was quite difficult to sustain maps if you didn't have a really good map pool yet. They added eternal orbs again, so this was basically a blast from the past. It's a really rare crafting item they deleted, I think 6 or 7 years ago, where you could basically imprint an item, craft it, and if it didn't give out the results that you wanted, you can try again. But I don't expect to find one of these, probably even in 3 or 4 months. So if you find one, maybe save it and use it very carefully on an item that is really worth it. But I wouldn't count on finding any of these, but it's a nice addition. Though I don't think that this will bring anybody back. Like, I don't think people will care enough to come back just for the off chance to find an eternal orb. Alright, so Ruthless has no longer alternative levels for when you start finding 4, 5 and 6 socket items. So we're talking about socket items, not linked items. But this is obviously quite a good change because it means you will be finding 4 sockets and even 5 socket items more early on throughout the campaign. Probably also in the vendors, so because they changed vendors a bit, they do not refresh after each level that you gain, but they kind of partly refresh. So yeah, it might make sense to check vendors each 1 or 2 levels if they maybe have a early 4 link or maybe even an early 5 link. I found actually a 5 link bow in the last solo self-found Ruthless Sanctum League, which was really nice, so I bought it just for an transmutation. But this is a great addition, so this will make leveling, especially at the beginning, a bit smoother depending on how many active skill gems you want to use. In the Lightning Arrow build, for example, you use quite a lot of gems, and also, for example, with summoners, you are always starving for gem links and gem sockets in general, so this can be quite beneficial. This also means, though, that you might have to adapt your item filter, so I can just recommend to use Filter Blade, and Neversink created a special version for Ruthless that you can just adapt and put in like 4 socket items or even 4 linked items at the beginning of Ruthless are quite useful. Death and Rebirth quest no longer rewards jewels, but it rewards an uncarved gemstone. So this is the thing that you trade with the Ghost Sayosa in the library, which is also great. So this makes getting the skill gems that you want quite a bit easier. So in the past, you basically got 1 gemstone per mule if you only did Act 3 and Sayosa. Now you basically get 2 of those. Death and Rebirth, I'm not sure which act this is or which quest this is at the moment, but overall, if you play a character, you will get 3 uncarved gemstones just by leveling 1 character. So this is a great addition, actually. Makes early level gearing also, or gem requirements a bit less harsh in Ruthless. Reduce the chance for normal items to drop from part 2 of the campaign, and reduce the chance for normal magic items. So that basically means that you might even find more rare items, because when you drop an item nowadays in Ruthless 3.20, it rolls if it's a magic or a rare item, and then the roll, or like the dices decide what items you find, and obviously a rare item always has to compete against being normal and magic. And if the chances for normal and magic are a bit lower, that automatically means or implies that the chances for a rare item might be slightly higher. I don't expect this to be a big and noticeable change even, but it might certainly help, especially if you are on a magic find build, which we are going to be in the beginning of the league. So yeah, nice change as well. Time dilation, notable passive in Ruthless, no longer causes incursions to have 30% chance for all monsters to be at least magic. I mean, I guess that's a slight nerf, because more magic monsters means more loot, more item drops, more map drops in general. So that's a slight nerf to Alva, but I wouldn't take it too seriously. So Alva will still be great. I mean, you do not run Alva for the time dilation encounters anyway. You run it for the temple and for the rooms in the temple mainly. So yeah. Shaping the sea, shaping the mountains, shaping the valley, and shaping the skies. Atlas passives were somewhat necessary, blah blah blah. We've increased the drop chance. So they basically increased the base drop chance for maps within maps in Ruthless. At least that's what I understand here. And they changed these Atlas passives to give 8% increased chance to find maps, or no, sorry, for maps to be one tier higher instead of previously 10%. So I think this is quite a substantial buff. So we lose 2%. These nodes will still be good, so I will still be taking at least 2 of them. I recommend taking the fire node, because burning kind of is better than being frozen or shocked. At least burning I would take. You could take the shaping the skies is the one that gives you a potential to be shocked, because enemies will have lightning damage, or like a part of their physical damage will be converted to lightning damage. So if you have a source of shock immunity, like Tempest Shield for example, if you're lucky to drop that early on and use it, you can take Shaping the Skies as well, so that's not too bad. Or if you have like a source of immunity to freezes and chills, Shaping the Mountains I think is quite good as well. That's the cold damage one, because if you can't get frozen, this extra damage is not as scary. But if you have none of them, I would recommend to only take the one that gives fire. Let me just see what it was. Cold, fire. So this one, basically Shaping the Valleys. This is my must-have node, I would say. So this is still the old tree, by the way. This is 320, still live today, just for next 3 hours, I guess. But last patch I got all 3 of them, which made maps quite a bit more difficult. So nowadays I would just probably get Shaping the Valleys and then see how it is. Maybe map sustain is way better because they increased the base drop chance, so you might just be fine with taking Shaping the Valleys. But if you feel like you still don't drop enough maps and you have a problem to sustain, like early yellow and maybe even early red maps, I would consider one of these nodes as well. Probably cold one, because yeah, shock is pretty nasty. Alright. The other world, provides breaches in your maps have 20% increased monster density. So breaches will get, yeah, quite a bit more difficult, I think. And from what I've seen in the videos, the monsters in the breaches really are aggressive towards you. So they immediately when they spawn, they know where you are, even off screen, and they run towards you. So the breaches will be pretty rippy, especially if your build is not really great at clearing many rares and tanky rares pretty quickly, so you should watch out. And rare breach monsters have chance to drop a breach blessing, so that's maybe interesting in the later stages, because they increased the base level of breach quite significantly. So the most interesting items, you can only find them after completing like level 80 plus monster level breaches, which is rather late in Ruthless, I guess. So probably not in the first few days at least. So yeah, but probably maybe not a bad change. We'll see. Reduce the chances for Kirak to offer unique or synthesized maps. Well, I didn't find any synthesized maps really in his, even though I re-rolled his missions quite a bit. The unique maps is a bit of a bummer, because when you get Solidarity, you get quite a few more singular scouting reports, which offer unique maps, at least one unique map. So this will make unique map completion a bit more difficult. I think this is a balance, which is kind of a counterbalance towards the general map drop chance and the changes they made to shaping nodes and so on. So I think this kind of gives a bit of a counterbalance, but we'll see. I think it's still okay. Rogue Exiles in Ruthless only drop jewelry, so that means belts, rings, and amulet, instead of an item for each equipable slot. I think this is quite a substantial buff to Rogue Exiles, so it might even make sense to maybe get one of these nodes here, or maybe at least give it a try, because when Rogue Exiles drop the whole inventory, the chance to get like a rare ring, a rare amulet, which is always the most valuable stuff in Ruthless, is obviously way lower because they drop 10 items and the chance that you get 3 rares is lower, or like that you get a rare glove instead of a rare ring. But now that this chance is only divided up within the jewelry drops themselves, you might get more rare amulets and rare rings, rare belts, and so on. That is, I think, quite a nice buff to Rogue Exiles, which were basically completely ignored in 3.20 Ruthless by most people. Chests in highest position now have appropriate minimap icons. Yeah, that's not a really big buff. I mean, the normal chests within highest were pretty shit. I didn't find a lot of currency, maybe some rares here and there, but you do not run heist for the normal contracts, but you run heist for blueprints and for replica uniques and alternative quality gems, so doesn't really matter, to be honest. Non-unique monsters in Delve drop 50% less items in Ruthless, so this is basically a nerf to last video I made, because we were able to find and drop a lot of support gems and currency items from normal monsters in Delve. That's an interesting one and a bit of a bummer as well, because that was quite nice. That was basically one of the farming strategy, and I think they just updated that an hour ago. The only question that I have, and maybe you can answer it in the comments if you know, if items also includes passive skill gems, for example, or skill gems in general. I mean, I think they do count as item drops or itemized drops, but I'm not really sure. I would have to check the wiki, to be honest. But if this includes items as well and currencies, that would be, or could be quite a substantial nerf to Delve. I think Delve will still be worth it because it's such a fast and high density game mode that you can access right even before going to maps, so it will still be good if you have a fast character, but it's a bit of a nerf, I think. Yeah. Special expedition logbook run, we can all be of upsides. Okay, I didn't care about expedition at all. One of the buffs is this one, they increase, or like they reduce the prices from Tuigen, so you can get some of the items from the expeditions a bit more cheaper, but it was ridiculous. Like I just blocked expedition immediately. I don't think it's worth it still. I think it's just bullshit. If you like gambling, you can try it, but I wouldn't bother with expedition. I would just block it immediately. The area level for the Temple of Azathoth in Ruthless is now the average level of all your incursions, so that's quite a substantial nerf to Alva, because you were able to run your highest tier map and then complete the temple within your basically 2 lower maps of the kind, like white maps. So you could start with a level 6 map and then finish your temple with 2 level 1 maps. That will no longer be possible. If you do that now, you will get a average level 3 temple, which is not as valuable because it won't drop level 6 maps as likely as before. So what I would recommend, Alva the temple will still be a great source for maps, but maybe with these changes to map drops you might not need it as much, so you might just use the temple for the normal rooms instead of mapping. But if you need maps, you could still just run your highest maps and save your temple for that, and it will still be a great source for maps. So It's a bit of a nerf, but I think it is not as important because it's counterbalanced by, again, this base drop chance for maps in Ruthless. Number of chests in the temple has been reduced. Okay, whatever. I mean, the chests were not... I mean, if this includes like currency and gem chests, that might be a nerf, a slight nerf, but if it's just the regular chests, I'm not sure if there are really like regular chests in the temple. I'm not sure at the moment, but I don't think this is really meaningful, so I would just ignore that. If that flat safe house reward changed from, I think it was upgrading breach stones to a jewel crafting spree. Well, this is again a counterbalance to the changes within breaches, which is probably okay, I guess. It makes breaches a bit harder to obtain, or breach stones. It makes jewels a bit easier to obtain. I think this will just be normal jewels, so no, like jewels from the depths, like no murderous eyes and stuff like that. But this might be okay, actually. Yeah, because rare jewels are quite hard to come by. You won't have many seconds to craft these jewels, but you might still end up with a nice jewel here and there. The price of these items by June has been reduced. Yeah, that's a good change. It was just ridiculous. I wonder if it's still probably going to be more expensive than anything else, so might not be worth it still. But if you like gambling, hey, your decision. The drop chance for primordial jewels in Ruthless has been increased, so this will enable maybe some golem mancer or golem minion builds, but will still be really rare to find those, so I wouldn't expect it. I wouldn't build around any uniques in Ruthless. The drop chance for Vaal orbs in Ruthless has been increased. This is a great change because it was really hard to obtain Vaal orbs in some cases, which will block your Atlas progression because you could not make red maps corrupted. I would still recommend to get Planar Tactician because it will provide you with more Vaal scouting reports, and you will drop quite a few Vaal orbs from the map bosses in these corrupted maps. So I would still take that, and also the nodes leading here are really quite good, so I would still take that, to be honest, and this is a great change in my opinion. You can also use Vaal orbs on other stuff, so for example, one really nice use is to get Vaal gems. So for example, we got Vaal lightning arrow now, we got Vaal ice shot, we got Vaal rejuvenation totem, which is actually a huge thing. This rejuvenation totem takes 40% of the damage for you, which is better than any guard skill, and it has an insane regeneration, so it's basically pretty much immortal, I guess. And it is obviously in addition to your normal rejuvenation totem. So if you find or if you combine this node and this one here, that you get an additional uncarved gemstone, you can just farm uncarved gemstones. For example, for Vaal lightning arrow, then you can buy all your Vaal, you can buy 6 Vaal like normal lightning arrows, and then you will have probably enough Vaal orbs to just hit all your skill gems and probably get a lightning version, a Vaal version of your lightning arrow gem pretty easily. So that will make Vaal skills in Ruthless way more obtainable, which is great because Vaal skills are quite a big bump, or can be quite a big bump in character strength. Fixed an issue in Ruthless where map chests in logbook areas were only capable of dropping tier 1 maps. Well, I didn't care about any logbooks. I didn't care about expedition, as I said, so I wouldn't bother about that. Just a bug, basically. And fixed an issue where Hillock was providing an incorrect reward on research duty in Ruthless. Well, I'm not sure what he provided. Maybe he gave you like an exalt or something. But yeah, doesn't really matter. Alrighty, so these were the changes. I think Ruthless got a bit more accessible and less roofless, so to say. So it lost maybe some of its teeth, which is, in my opinion, a good change because many people disliked Ruthless a lot, and people who played Ruthless got quite a bit of hate on the normal Path of Exile Reddit, I mean, that's just the way it goes. People have their opinions, and that's totally fine. But I think this will make Ruthless a bit more accessible for the broader audience of Path of Exile, which is a nice thing, because the game mode, I think, can be really rewarding. If you have never tried Ruthless, it's a great league and a great time to give it a try and see if it's for you. Alright, then I wish you a great start into the league today. I will be making another video about the progression in the Atlas tree within the new 3.21 Ruthless League. At least that's my opinion, or the tree that I'm going to start with. And maybe you come by and check that out as well. Alrighty, take care and have a good league start.